The ill-fated 2014 National Conference convened by then-President Goodluck Jonathan at the twilight of his administration was about the last time public dialogue in the country came to a near deadlock with demands for an increase in the derivation formula from 13% championed by delegates from the oil-producing Niger Delta region, especially the South-South geopolitical zone. Instructively, the 13% which was negotiated at the Constitutional Conference convened 20 years earlier in 1994 by the military regime of then Head of State General Sani Abacha, which eventually made its way into the country's 1999 Constitution, does not put any ceiling on the percentage that can be allocated as derivation fund. Section 162 subsection 2 provides clearly that, and I quote, the principle of derivation shall be constantly reflected in any approved formula as being not less than 13% of the revenue accruing to the Federation account directly from any natural resources. This perhaps explains why this particular section of the Constitution has not enjoyed any attention of the National Assembly in the repeated efforts to amend the 1999 Constitution in the close to 20 years that provisions of the country's current Constitution have been enforced.
Is this a true reflection of what transpired in Compton Hall?
The Nigerian Senate, which is obviously frustrated by the continuous agitations from the country's oil-producing communities amidst the failure of state governments in the Niger Delta region to provide and maintain the most simple and basic infrastructure and facilities in these communities after about 20 years of receiving the 13% derivation from the Federation account, is now considering the Petroleum Host Community Bill 2017 to empower the oil-producing communities to be directly involved in addressing their needs with funds provided not by the federal or state governments, but oil companies operating in their respective areas. Though well-intended, for very obvious reasons, it is very doubtful how this new attempt being made by the National Assembly to address the Niger Delta question can be implemented and sustained. But then one thing is very clear, that this is how bad the situation has degenerated with the failure of federal government institutions like the Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs and the Niger Delta Development Commission, the NDDC, and then the 9 state governments of Abia, Akwa Ibom, Bayelsa, Cross River, Delta, Edo, Imo, Ondo, and Rivers. Hello and welcome. This is Straight Talk. I am TV Tiab in Abuja, the Nigerian capital. The list of oil-producing states in Nigeria is on the increase, with Lagos State in the southwest geopolitical zone formally joining the league in August 2016. As we speak, the coastal state of Lagos is receiving 13% derivation on the 4 oil wells in the Ajeh field of Badagry local government area of the state. It took the quarter of a century, which is about 25 solid years of dogged prospecting, to discover crude oil in commercial quantities that have today gotten Lagos on the list of oil-producing states in the country. Many believe that Lagos as a commercial center, with its successes in the last 20 years, will be an example of how an oil-producing state should function. However, it must not be taken for granted that Lagos can also toe the line of the Niger Delta states that have failed over the years to give priority to the oil-producing communities in their respective states with the 13% derivation they receive from the Federation account. It is very interesting that though there have been cries and agitations about non-development of oil-producing communities across the country's Niger Delta region, no other state in Nigeria can wait to have crude oil deposits discovered within its territory in commercial quantities. This can easily be explained that it is not usually about the development of the oil-producing communities, but the 13% derivation fund that the benefiting state government will receive as additional revenue to its monthly allocation from the Federation account. This is the story of oil exploration in the mineral-rich Anambra Basin, where the three states of Anambra and Enugu in the southeast and then Kogi in the north-central are all laying claim to the crude oil deposits there. In fact, some members of the House of Representatives from these three states on March 9, 2017 attempted to ambush the National Assembly through a motion they jointly sponsored to declare Anambra, Enugu, and Kogi as oil-producing states. This is amidst a contentious boundary dispute in the affected areas that dates back to 1927, which eventually also led to a bloodbath between the people of Aguleri in Anambra State and Ibaji in Kogi State as recent as 1994. The search for crude oil in the Anambra Basin started with the digging of 25 exploration wells between 1952 and 1986 by the now Shell Petroleum Development Company, Total, Final F, and Ajib Energy that abandoned the efforts reportedly owing to government policy at the time. Exploration, however, resumed on August 30, 2012, when then-President Goodluck Jonathan inaugurated the Anambra River Production Facility and in Aguleri O2 in Anambra State that boasts of crude oil deposits in Ezegulu O2, Enuku O2, Nzam, Ezeanam, Anaku, and Omo. The argument by the people and governments of two of the neighboring states sharing common boundaries with Anambra State is that the Aguleri O2 production facility is to receive crude oil feeds from oil wells that are located in Iga, Oju, and Uzowani in Enugu State, and then Ibaji, Ida, Aladeetu, and Ini in Kogi State. While the controversy and tension in the Anambra Basin lingers because of the failure of the country's National Boundary Commission to do the needful, we shall take you to the three states of Edo, Ondo, and Imo to see how oil-producing communities in these states are treated by their respective state governments. Unlike the four Niger Delta state governments of Akwa Ibom, Bayelsa, Cross River, and Rivers that have not bothered to invest in the development of oil-producing communities in their states, the three states of Edo, Imo, and Ondo have joined the other Niger Delta states of Abia and Delta to establish specialized interventionist agencies to handle the development of oil-producing communities in their states, including certain percentages of the 13% derivation from the Federation account. This is what we know. In Edo State, South Nigeria, the interventionist agency in the oil-producing communities, which was established in 2007, is known as the Edo State Oil and Gas Producing Areas Development Commission, EDSOPADEC. The law establishing the commission statutorily provides that the agency will be funded with only 40% of the state's share of the 13% derivation from the Federation account. This means that of the 47.1 billion naira the Edo State government received in 15 years from 1999 to 2014, only 18.840 billion naira would have been invested on projects and programs in the 28 oil and gas producing communities in the state. For Edo State that has 204 oil flow stations, only 3 of the 18 local government areas in the state have oil and gas producing communities. These are Ekwoba Oha local government, Ovia Northeast local government, and Ohuovon local government that reportedly produces about 70% of the total oil and gas derived from Edo State at the moment. Instructively, Edo is one state where most of the oil and gas producing communities, especially the ones in the remote areas, are full of complaints about how they are neglected, with even the few projects in their areas abandoned in numbers. The untold story of the oil and gas producing communities in Edo State has been written by the 4 governors who ruled that state from 1999 to date. These include Lucky Igbenedion from 1999 to 2007, Oseheme Osumbo from May 29, 2007 to November 11, 2008, Adams Oshomole from November 12, 2008 to November 12, 2016, and now Godwin Obaseki from November 12, 2016 to date. The idea of some states in the Niger Delta region establishing commissions to intervene in the development of oil-producing communities in their states was originally pioneered by Ondo State in the southwest Nigeria. The Ondo State Oil Producing Areas Development Commission, or SOPADEC, was established in 2001 by the late Adebayo Adefarati, who was the governor of the state between 1999 and 2003. Ondo, that prides itself as the Sunshine State, has 18 local government areas, out of which only 2, namely Esodu and Ilaje, have oil-producing communities. Osopadek has been in existence for 16 years and counting. And ordinarily, the agency and Ondo State, with just 2 oil-producing local governments, would have been an example for the other Niger Delta states. But that is not the situation here. This is clearly because the Ondo State government is diverting over 50% of the 13% derivation fund that should be used first and foremost to develop the oil-producing communities in the 2 local government areas to other uses. We can authoritatively say that only 40% of the entire 13% derivation received by the Ondo State government is supposedly allocated to Osopadek for the development of the oil-producing communities in the 2 local government areas of Esuodo and Elaje, where 6 students of the Lagos Model School kidnapped in their school in Epe on May 25, 2017, were rescued after about 2 months in the Abutu Creeks on July 28, 2017. It is also authoritative that alleged cases of corruption abound, with the many reports of abandoned projects and outright neglect of most of the oil-producing communities in Ondo State, where the late Adebayo Adefarati was governor from 1999 to 2003 and was succeeded by the late Olusegun Agagu from 2003 to 2009, and then Olusegun Mimiko from 2009 to 2017, and now Rotimi Akeredolu from February 14, 2017 to date. Behind me is the popular Oguta Lake in Oguta local government area of Imo State, southeast Nigeria. As you can see, some of the residents of this place have just started making a journey across the lake. And we're also told that in this oil producing community in Imo State, almost all the oil wells are across the lake on the other side, where these residents are heading to. And we are also told that that is where their farmlands are. We have very little of human habitation across the lake, as it were. There has never been a bridge across the Oguta Lake with this marine police post being the major project of the Niger Delta Development Commission, the NDDC, in the entire community. Oguta is one of the 2 local government areas in Imo State, southeast Nigeria, where there are oil-producing communities, with the other local government area being Ohaji Egbema, that we were strongly advised against visiting because of the perceived hostility of the unemployed youths there. The active fishing culture of the Oguta community is still alive, as can be seen along the banks of the lake. But the people know that life for them would have been a lot more better as an oil-producing part of the country.
In Oguta community, there are basic families and villages that made up Oguta particularly that owns most of these locations, of which my village is one, Omo community. Shell operates in Oguta oil field. Ajib operates in Oguta oil field. And as per the community. But when it comes to the local government, it involves other oil companies. But as for Oguta community, basically SPDC and Nayok. And Nayok, Shell has about 32 oil locations, while Ajib has about 20-something. So when you talk of oil in Imo State, Oguta's only community, Oguta's a community, had about 60% of oil production in the state.
So are you guys benefiting from this in terms of development projects that is being brought to your communities by the oil producing companies, by the state government, by the federal government, by NDDC and all of that?
Really, in terms of development, considering the production, accrued from there, we can say we're not benefiting much. What's most annoying is that of Ensopadek, because Uta as a community, as I'm talking to you, cannot boast of electricity. For a reasonable time, in intervals of period, months, we don't record that. Then somebody said they take care of a light, but we don't see the light. So that's a major issue. If not by effort, by personal efforts, by the community. So those basic things like electricity, which I'm talking about, they are not really doing well.
What a water supply? Do we have water, potable water supply in Oguta?
Really, it's when the potable water you're talking about is on personal, because almost over 40% of Oguta, citizens sank their borehole. But there's no government or whatever assistance. Like they have a reservoir, the reservoir is not functioning. There's no public, taps. It's only individuals on their personal efforts.
But have they ever supplied water from that reservoir?
There's no water. That's what I'm saying. For over how many years now, nobody, counts on the, that water coming out from that reservoir. The reservoir came into Oguta in 70s. In 70s, but it's not operating.
You guys seem to be enjoying life here. See street lights, good roads, bad roads at least.
No, yes, you can see all these things, but all these roads have to be, maintained and, work. They're supposed to work our roads safe well. And the street lights that you can see now is not, it has spoiled. We need another new street light to come and, to let them need another new street light to come and be changed all these, old ones. And for the road, as you can see now, once you are moving out, like you say that you are going to this side and if motor come, you spray your water. Yeah, you can see. This is called old road. It's not new road. It's old road. So we need the government to come and repair the road, give us another better road.
What a water supply? Do they supply water to Oguta town? Government, do they supply water?
No, they don't supply because we already have water here. So which water that they supply?
Do you drink this water?
Yes, we drink it. We make use of it to cook. We used to use it and cook food that we eat. Yeah.
So if you meet Buhari today, or you meet Rochas today, what will you tell them you want them to do for Oguta community?
Confirm. I will tell them that my honorable, that this Uvuta that people are, because it's not always this Uvuta. We need what's most important thing is that light. We need electric lights. That is the most important thing because this Uvuta is a Obodo Amish, Obodo Giri, Obodo Nemon on our side. But if better made the town, there's no light. You can't stay here without light.
This is the public primary school that welcomes you to Oguta. The old structures and poorly ventilated classroom blocks and buildings in the school and the environment easily explain the state of public institutions, infrastructure and facilities in the community, where though located by the waterside, the availability and access to potable, safe and clean water remain one of the biggest challenges for the residents. This has been the situation with Oguta at least since 1999, when the Imo State government started receiving 13% derivation from the Federation account for the crude oil produced in the community. When Achike Udenwa was governor of the state from 1999 to 2007, Ikedi Ohakim from 2007 to 2011, and now Rochas Okorocha from 2011 to date. We visited the new head office of the Imo State Oil Producing Areas Development Commission, ISOPADEC, that gets only 40% of the 13% oil derivation Imo State receives from the Federation account on a monthly basis. Then Managing Director of the Commission, Ike Uwakwe, would not readily speak to us before flying out of town, but we took up the development issues in the oil-producing communities of the state with the Governor, Rochas Okorocha, at a media briefing in Abuja, the Nigerian capital, where, like it is the case with most governors of the Niger Delta states, he showed that his administration clearly does not either understand the needs of the people in the oil-producing communities, or that it is doing very little or nothing at all to address them head-on.
And you talked about ISOPADEC, our 13% derivative. It's the first time that we have built a headquarters. For years, we were on rated premises as with the 13%, what do you call it? Derivation. This is the first time the money has been used judiciously to help the people. We have built 16 emergency centers in all the Ohajebema Uguta area with the fund of ISOPADEC. We empowered the use of that place with 500 million naira for the first time in history to support them. So I didn't answer the question. The other one you talked about is the, I think that's it.
That's how much of the 30%? Because in some of the states, in Nigeria, for instance,
The 30% is the total sum of what you collect. Sometimes 30% is 100 and something million. So when you hear 30% in Imo is not something that the 30% in Akwa Ibom or Delta. I'm telling you that my whole, what did I get last month? What I got last month was 4.2 billion. Check his own internet. 4.2 or 4.7 billion. Go and check other states. Some people are getting 13 billion. Even from this Paris club, some states are getting, if we're getting 13, some people are getting 35. So just know that all fingers are not equal. So our own 30% derivative, or whatever it's called, has been properly utilized. I've told you some of the things we did with it. ISOPADEC is proud to have a befitting towers now, call it a tower as headquarters. It's never been happened before. The empowerment program for the youth, the 16 emergency centers, and so many things we've been doing.
With the situation in the 5 states of Imo, Ondo, Edo, Abia, and Delta that have established state-owned oil-producing communities development commissions amongst the 9 states of the Niger Delta region, it would be wrong to say that these interventionist agencies are the solution to the development challenges confronting the oil-producing communities that actually bear the country's wealth. From our investigations, one thing is very clear, and this is the fact that none of the 9 Niger Delta states is ready to release all the 13% they receive as derivation allocation from the Federation account for the development of the country's real oil-producing communities. The worst situations are those of Akwa Ibom, Bayelsa, Cross River, and River States, where there are no state oil-producing communities development commissions to even get some statutory percentage out of the 13% derivation or the other special fund received by the states that will be invested directly in the provision of infrastructure, facilities, amenities, and empowerment of human resources in the oil-producing communities. In very clear terms, the governments of the Niger Delta states are diverting the 13% meant for the development of the oil-producing communities in their states to other purposes and cheating the communities that should be benefiting directly from the fund. It is time to not only demand explanations from the governments of the 9 Niger Delta states, but also institute a legal mechanism and framework that will ensure that the country's oil-producing communities are the ones that directly benefit from the 13% derivation allocated to the affected states on a monthly basis. The 13% derivation is nowhere enough, but it is time Nigeria ensures that the real oil-producing communities that pay the highest price for the country's wealth get justice by benefiting from the all entitlements that rightly belong to them. That's Straight Talk. Follow me on my Twitter handle, Instagram, and Facebook page. And you can also subscribe to my YouTube channel to watch the program. I am TV. Thanks to our partners, Media Dimensions, for their support. And thanks a lot to you for watching. And goodbye from Abuja, the Nigerian capital.